So now that we've talked about some of the gacha units, let's talk about the free-to-play that we got from this summer. And I don't want people to be like, oh man, it's Da Vinci, who cares? Trust me, this servant has actually clutched it out a little bit for me over on the JP version of the game because she's kind of like an omni-generic support that you can put in really any team comp. I mean, she's a very, very valuable free-to-play that we've gotten that, sure, you can try to use her as like a DPS, but I never really go for that when I use her, just because it's just nice to kind of have just any filler slot filled in a team, or if you just need an extra plug suit option, this lady can definitely do that for you. And I know that tower events aren't like the most frequent thing that we get. We get like, what, one a year? But when limited events like that come, having just a random support like this that you could just bring in any team comp is very, very useful. So we're going to talk about her in today's video. But before we begin, if you've not already, make sure you leave a like on the video and you subscribe to the channel, as even as your boy is out here on vacation, still making sure that you got daily content to absorb to make sure that you are up to date on both versions of the game. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and just start diving right into this video, starting off with her hits, which aren't all that important. I mean, it is nice that she has double arts cards with 0.67% NP gain. That does mean on any like wayward crit, she'll get a decent bit of NP refund back. But again, you're probably not going to use her NP very often. Like, it does also kind of have support implications, but it's a bit random because really the main effect is split into three 33% chances, so you're not really guaranteed to get the one that you really want. But maybe you want to, gamble a little bit on the NP. Maybe you need a little bit of extra damage, or maybe you just want to use it to overcharge one of your other NPs by one higher stage. It's nice that she can at least hit that. The buster hits don't really matter, and sure, she's got decent enough star gen with a decent quick card, but do not rely on this unit to be genning stars or anything, even with the passive 12% quick buff. Although I do think it's very funny that they were like, you know what, extra attack 5 hits, that's the gold standard. We're just going to make it all 3 hits because we're just going to be absolutely hilarious. It definitely makes her worse that her extra attack has like no hits on it. But for one, I have no idea when they're actually going to brave chain with this servant, and two, it's pretty much, she's just a support servant, so like, who really cares? Let's start getting into some of these different skills though. So starting off with the first skill, it is a targetable Omni card support of 20% that lasts for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. This is half of the reason why I say you could pretty much bring her with anybody. Do you need her to plug suit in to give your quick unit a little bit of extra damage, your arts, your buster, whoever you want her to support, you can bring her in and she will always be valuable. Even for someone like, I don't know, Super Orion. For some reason, you have Super Orion, but not any of the other, like, really good supports to use him with, and you don't want to use him as a soloer. Well, bringing her in, she can give a little bit of that extra power to the buster cards. I guess her other card buffs will also be nice because Orion just likes to crit on everything, but it's a very, very nice skill. Like, this, again, is one of my favorite free-to-play servants because I think it's very, very valuable for a lot of newer to, like, mid-range accounts. Especially because, these events make it real easy to level up the free-to-play unit from that event by giving you, like, double EXP. They give you EXP cards from the event shop and such. And so she could be a very, very valuable unit. And I'll just tell you right now, my Da Vinci ruler is 10-10-10 on my JP because when I was starting out, just having another baby support was very nice. And you even see that in her second skill. It's a targetable 20% battery that also gives them 30% NP gain. So kind of nice for your buster servants if they need that extra 20% battery, but also helping them refund their NP on any arts or quick cards that they might have. And especially for your looper servants, you can almost use this as like a Paracelsus and an Asclepius merged into one because you get that arts buff, not as much NP gain, but you still get a decent bit of it, and you also get the battery, so it's kind of like the best of all 3 worlds because you're getting the card buff, the raw NP gain, and you're getting a raw battery. That's not the biggest, but you really generally only need that extra like 10 to 20% if your looper is good enough. If you're using someone like Saber Nero and you're like a masochist like me trying to get her to loop, then you're going to need a lot more work to go into that, and I don't think Da Vinci's going to save her on that front. But again, it's very nice because if you don't have somebody, or you want someone that actually unironically does a bit more than Paracelsus and Asclepius because it kind of merges their kits together, then Ruler Da Vinci is a very good plug suit option. Although the only thing is that for some younger accounts, they might not be able to field the cost for Da Vinci because she is a 4-star as opposed to a 3-star, and earlier on cost can be a little wonky. but it's not like you're bringing another 5-star, right? At least she's still a 4-star, so the cost isn't super insane or anything. But finally, we have the third skill, and again, just generic good stuff. Increases the party's NP damage by 20% for 3 turns, gives everybody 1 stage of overcharge for 1 turn, and then reduces all enemies' critical attack chance by 20% for 3 turns. Now, the last thing doesn't really matter, but the overcharge is very nice because you have a lot of servants that just give themselves like a nice card buff, or they give themselves a damage mod on their overcharge that's just going to be useful to get that extra little bit of damage. And then the party-wide NP damage can be used by all 3 card types. Again, just a very good generic support. She can support any different card type. Everybody wants a battery, everybody loves NP gain, and she's double buffing them because she's also giving them NP damage, which ironically enough makes her kind of nice if you're doing like, I don't know, a double Oberon setup, because if you plug suit her in, even more NP damage, right? You get even more NP damage, and you could further abuse that because God forbid that servant has NP damage on their overcharge, because now they're getting even more of that, and it could just be very, very funny. Like, she is just very generically good. I know that a lot of more stacked accounts were like, you've already got the ability to do like a double Castoria. You could already do double Oberon or double Koyenskaya. But I don't know, someone like double Scotty might need that little bit of a plug suit. Instead of using Paracelsus, you use her. Could be kind of nice. Or you're farming Berserkers and maybe your art servant's just not quite good enough. Plug suit in Da Vinci, very, very strong. I do really, really like her kit. Now, the NP, this is where things get a little gambly, and you're probably not going to use this in like normal farming setups where I think she'll see a lot of value. But if you do want to use her in more difficult content, one, she's a ruler, so she's kind of thick. She could take a couple of hits. But the main gimmick is that she can change the effect of her NP depending on what you get. Now, they're all really good effects. I personally really like the blue bullet one because I kind of like that Tamamo or Koyenskaya effect where the NP charges other people's NP, but unfortunately in say Koyenskaya or Tamamo, you put them at the very end so everybody uses their NPs and you can then refresh them with the final one in the chain being, you know, the person that gives everybody NP back. You can't really predict that with Da Vinci because if you know you're going to get the red bullet, which gives everybody 20% attack, you want her to go in front because now she's triple buffing everybody. But if you get the blue bullet, you really wanted that to be at the very end so you can maximize the NP that you get back. But I don't know, maybe you're in some very weird scenario where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna put Da Vinci in the front because my second NP is at 180%. So for some reason, they're going to get like 2 stages of overcharge. Well, technically 3 because you got the NP being second in the chain, it hits 200%, and then you're also getting the overcharge from skill 3. But you get what I'm saying. All of them are good because you're either going to get 30 stars, which is nice. That's the same star effect that Jalter has that makes doing crit turns very easy. The 20% NP gauge, still very strong. And then the party-wide attack buff is really, really good as well. And then she also gives herself a little bit of NP damage because, you know, they probably figured that she's got to be able to do some type of damage because you're probably not going to give her all of the buffs. But I do really like this servant. I hope that maybe in the future they give her some type of buff that allows you to kind of predict which bullet you're going to fire. Or I guess I shouldn't say predict, but like just blatantly choose, because it does just kind of fire one randomly, and you see on the NP when she like loads the thing, that's when you find out what she's going to be firing, and you're like, oh, okay, well, that's not at all what I really wanted. I kind of wanted to get something else. Like, say they go ahead and they buff the first skill, and whenever you use that skill, it then gives you like a Space Ishtar style, you know, dialogue that pops up, and it's like, what bullet would you like to fire? You get to choose it for one time. And then it also gives, I don't know, whoever you target it, some nice special damage mod. Maybe it's like an anti-evil damage mod, because, you know, Summer 6 is kind of like about Pokemon catching, from what I understand. I don't know, I didn't read the event originally on JP, I wasn't that interested. But I was interested in this servant, so let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I definitely think that everybody should have this servant leveled, even though she's a free-to-play, and when next anniversary rolls around, you're only going to get the gold cube for it. She's still very nice to have just for convenience for your older players, just to use in like tower events or things that are more limited where you just, I don't know, don't have the team cost, or they're not allowing you to use double supports or something. Because even if you have double Castoria, as a lot of people saw for NeroFest, there were restrictions where you couldn't use double Castoria on the part 2 fight. And if you don't have anybody else, because I know some of you goofy goobers out there did not pick Waiver for your 5-star ticket, you were like, oh man, Mordred's cute, and I agree, but I still think you should have probably picked Waiver. But for you guys out there who I know exist, I see you guys in the server and in my chats, I know you guys are out there. This is a very, very good secondary support that you can kind of just bring to anything. She's not going to replace any of the main 5-star supports. Oh my goodness, flabbergasted. This free-to-play is not going to replace the, 5-star limited supports, but she is still very nice. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. But with that one being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day, and I will catch you guys on the flippity floppity.